Hey y'all, my name is Anna Stevenson Hall, and you're listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. If you're new to the show, our goal here is to create some content, some fantastic content for athletes, parents, and coaches. We tell stories, have laughs, and go into everything that is the end game of athletic performance, helping athletes achieve their optimal performance and be the best they can possibly be. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today from beautiful, sunny Madison, Wisconsin, Stevie Hall. Stevie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is awesome. This is exciting. You've kind of done some things like this before, but never straight podcasty like this. Okay, well, this is exciting. Welcome to the pinnacle of life right here.
I appreciate that.
This is awesome. Stevie, for the tens of people that listen to this show who might not know who you are and why you're such a big deal, tell these people who you are and why you're such a big deal.
Hey, I'm Stevie. I play volleyball here for League One Madison. It's my first year professionally in the States, but over the past 3 years, I've been in Italy for 2 seasons and Turkey for a half season post-college. I play on the national team. I was an alternate for the Olympics this year, and prior to professional volleyball, I was at the University of Louisville.
There we go. Wham, bam. So a lot of volleyball going on. Growing up, what'd you do?
I tried just about every sport, but none of them really stuck. Like basketball was too physical, too much touching. Dance, anything like by yourself, I'm too shy. I think I thrive in a team sport. I'm not the person who likes to speak in front of everybody or be the one people look at, but volleyball was definitely the best team sport. And if I have daughters one day, I for sure want them to play volleyball. I think it's just great people. I've had very few teammates that growing up in club volleyball that I didn't get along with, or I just think it's good people who play.
You seem to be pretty easy to get along with, though.
Yes, I really am. And I think being a middle, you have to be. We're only in for 3 rotations. No one wants to pepper with you. You don't have the ball control. So I think that it is a personality trait that helps, and you also learn it. Yeah,
here we go. When did you start volleyball?
6th grade, I started playing for my small private Christian school. So we weren't very good. And then I started playing club and competitively in 9th grade.
Okay. Oh, okay. No club till 9th grade.
Yeah. And I'm really grateful for that. I know kids start so young now, but I don't know if I think maybe now they need to. I don't know if people can just have like the raw, underdeveloped talent and still make it. I just feel like kids develop so much faster now, but luckily, when I was playing, I could just jump really well. I showed a lot of promise, so got recruited.
There we go. Were you still doing other sports through 8th grade?
No, I totally only played volleyball once high school started. At my private school, I tried all the sports because it was encouraged, but really did not enjoy them.
Okay. and so once high school hit, you were only volleyball?
Just volleyball, yeah. And my high school team we were really bad. I'm from a small town in South Carolina, and I went to Lawrence District 55 High School, and we won a single game my senior year. And I remember prior to that, I was like, Mom and Dad, please just let me play tennis. Or I even wanted to run track, and I don't know what compelled me to do that, but I think it was just hard to not be winning, and they made me stick it out, and I'm really grateful for that now, because I've definitely been on losing teams since then. I think some people just never quite learn how to lose, and I think it's important.
I could not agree with you more. Yes.
Yeah.
And not so much losing and accepting losing, but losing and persevering through losing, and what are we going to do to get better at? That's hard. That is hard. So then give me a little bit more. So through 8th grade, all the sports, you did all the things. So, because you're 6'1", 6'2"? Okay. Gotcha. So obviously you had the build for it. Are your parents tall people?
No, my dad is maybe 5'9", and my mom is 5'6" or 7. They're pretty small. I know. So I'm hoping my husband and my genes carry on. I don't want that for my kids. I hope they're tall.
Jeez. Where did you come from? If they're,
I don't know. My dad's siblings.
Grandma and grandpa?
My dad's siblings are apparently tall and lanky, so maybe them. I don't know how that works.
Holy cow. There we go. So that recruiting experience, coming off a high school team that's horrendous, club helped you a ton in the way of that recruiting deal?
Yeah. Club was all of it. No one, I think especially in South Carolina, it's not a big volleyball hub. High school volleyball is not that important. But I think that might be different in other states, like in Kentucky, big time volleyball. So I think that matters more for them.
Gotcha. Other schools you looked at, I mean, Louisville's a big deal here. You don't get much better than Louisville volleyball. Where else were you looking?
I went to Auburn University first, and I committed there. Me and my parents knew very little about college volleyball. I did not grow up really watching it on TV. And that's so strange to think about now, but I remember getting like a letter from Purdue, which is a solid volleyball school. And I told my dad, I don't want to go there. They play in short sleeve jerseys. Like that was my rationale as a 15-year-old. So I'm really happy that the recruiting rules have changed to make people delay their decision, because I went to Auburn because they were a good football school. Campus was beautiful, and like it was cool. It was just so cool. And everyone's like, oh, you need to make a decision based on if volleyball wasn't part of it, you'd still be happy. And now I tell people, do not think of it like that, because the reality is volleyball is 90% of it. I mean, I spent maybe 3% of my time on campus. I went to like 3 football games, and the rest of the time is volleyball, and we weren't winning. So volleyball should be the biggest part of your decision, I think. Unless you're someone who your focus is school. But I think if volleyball is the reason you're going somewhere, it better be good volleyball, or what you want at least. Because even if you're injured, you're still in rehab. You're still with the team. It's like volleyball is your life. So,
Steve, I love that advice, because I've heard so many other people say exactly the other advice that you just said. Well, volleyball disappears. You still have to be happy with the, and obviously like the major and stuff like that piece is important. But like you go to a school and you're like, oh, I do love the football and the experience and that thing. And you never go to a football game,
I mean, maybe in the spring you do fun stuff, but in the fall, like you're busy. Volleyball's most of it.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So we go to Louisville, 2-time All-American. If you would have worked harder, you think you would have gotten 3 or 4? Is that?
I don't know. I was coming from Auburn. I think it all progressed in the right way.
Yeah. Good. Talk about that progression and the transfer. I guess I'm curious about.
Yeah. So at Auburn, I was incredibly shy. Like I said, I don't like to be in front of people. And I remember at team meals, and it was not because of an eating disorder or anything. It was just purely like the conversation, like talking to everyone, the seniors. Like I was so worried, like I couldn't eat at team meals. And you do a lot of hitting off boxes when you train to work on your arm swing. And I hated being on the box because people could look at me. And I got kicked out of a practice. They finally kicked me out because they told me to get lower in my blocking base. And all I could think was, oh my gosh, like I look so silly doing this. Like I don't want to change. I've always done it this way. I'm going to look weird. He's like, get lower in your blocking base or you're out of practice. And I said, I can't. And he said, okay, go sit in the locker room. They kicked me out. And I think that was like the moment where I was like, how can I be so like controlled by myself up here that I'm not even able to sit in on our practice? Like I was really holding myself back. And I read this book, So Long Insecurity, by Beth Moore. I think it was Beth Moore. And that was great for me. I need to reread it. I reread it every so often. I haven't done that in a while. But after that spring season, I transferred to Louisville, and I went there because they told me that they didn't need me, but I would be a good addition to their program. And they sent me video. They're really good at training middles. And at this point I knew like, I want to compete to be on the junior national team. I know I can be good, but I just wasn't growing enough. And thankfully when I got there, they changed all that. And they're really tough on me. They're really honest. And it was just a whole new way of doing things. And I feel like I just shot up from there.
What do you think that change was more because of what Louisville did versus Auburn, or more of like your maturity growing up and being like, yeah, learning?
I think some maturity, but I don't think that if I hadn't been kicked out of a practice and been embarrassed like that, that I would have changed anything. I think I was really comfortable. And I think that needed to happen because if I had gone to Louisville with the attitude that I had, I would not have done well at all.
Interesting. So then we go on, finish Louisville, go play professional in, where were you at?
Turkey, the middle of nowhere. I was like 8 hours from Istanbul. So really far from civilization.
Holy cow. Good experience?
Yes, it was really, really difficult. I think to this day, besides a couple summers with the national team, that's like the hardest thing I've ever done. Because I was by myself. I wasn't married at that point. We were engaged. Duncan was still in college. And I just came off this like high of the Final Four. I was one of the best middles. And then you go somewhere and no one cares. And you're not the best at all anymore. And the training's different. The language is just shock after shock.
And you were in Turkey for
4 months.
4 months. Oh,
4 months. It was a short season. And looking back, I'm really grateful. And I text my coach often. His English was great. And he was a really good coach for me. And I want him to come coach in this league. I think he would really thrive here. But at the time, I was like, this is so crazy. He's so tough. And things are so different. And then after having 2 seasons in Italy and hearing other people's stories, I'm like, wow, like I could not have had a better first situation, even if it was hard.
Yeah. So you only did 1 year overseas. And then, is this year 2?
Sorry, I graduated in December, spring of 2022. I was in Turkey, and then I was in Italy for the next 2 years. For 2.5 seasons overseas.
Okay. How, we've had numerous athletes on the podcast talking about their overseas experience. And it's funny because some have just loved it so much because they love the adventure. They love all the different cultures of different things. They might not know the language, but that's okay. They get by. And we have one girl, Meg, is still playing. She's on her 7th or 8th year. Like she's loving it. And if you're going to be like, is she the best volleyball player, to come she's not, I love the girl. But she's not, but she loves it there. She loves the experience. She's gone for a huge chunk of the year. And she's a family girl and she misses her family and gets back, as often as she can. But we've had other people that just like, oh my gosh, I just, nobody else speaks the language, or there's like one other American on the team, and like you spend a lot of time by yourself, and How talk about? I guess I'm curious that experience, and then transferring into where you are right now with League One, and now we're in the States. Your family can come watch you play. Husband can watch you play. That whole piece.
I was lucky to have Duncan with me in Italy, so I was never totally alone. I've never had to do long distance with him while we're married, and I'm really grateful for that. But I'm not someone who really desires to explore, and I feel bad about that sometimes, and I've seen some amazing things thanks to volleyball. But I'm someone who on my off day overseas, I'm not taking a train to go explore. I am sleeping and reading and chilling, getting ready for practice the next day. So for me, overseas, it's not for me. And I like that here you can have a life outside of volleyball, because overseas I'm there for volleyball, and here I'm here for volleyball, but I also have a church here. I also have, I don't know, I just feel like you can do more. There's dog parks. Like we got a dog, and it's really social. I feel like there's a lot more going on in my life now than overseas. I feel like it was just eat, sleep, volleyball, sleep more, volleyball. So I'm happier here for sure.
What kind of dog?
Golden Retriever.
Oh, the happiest dog in the world.
Yes.
There we go. What's your current living situation? Apartment? What do we have here?
Team provided apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, but looking for a 2-bedroom next year. We're hoping for that.
So with the energy of a golden retriever, you do have to do up the dog park, because
it gets me outside more. And honestly, I think that my body, definitely the workload here is much lighter than overseas. And I think we're kind of seeing the repercussions of that, like I think now we've started having 2 practices twice a week and we've gotten a lot better. And so I think there is a balance. Overseas, it's a lot of volleyball. Like my knees have never hurt worse and I'm young, I'm healthy, so I'm not going to complain. I know there's girls who are like 30 and their knees are really hurting, but the workload here is significantly less. So I think getting outside and walking with Obi has really been good, like recovery for me. And just being in the sun, I feel like I'm just outside more, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, Stevie, we talked about this before we hit record. Every year we've done some type of nutrition presentation for VC United. And every year I have the roughly same presentation, move some things around a little bit. Maybe it's a different handout, try to attack something, highlight something in a different way. But the reason we do it is that I am so convinced that we've had kids that have underachieved through the thousands of kids that we've coached because their diet has been, nutrition has been very poor. Their sleep has been terrible. Now some stuff you can't avoid, you have, an AP test, AP Gov test, an AP, bio test on the same day, and you got to stay up late studying. I get too much of the time. It's kids on their cell phone, doom scrolling, just wasting, and extra, they lose 90 minutes of sleep when they should be, conked out and going to bed, which is not something I had back in my day because that didn't exist. And when it was bedtime and we went to sleep. So more challenges, I guess, is my point here. So then all the other things that come with, recovery and getting back to it and healing your body, because volleyball is very demanding. All sports at a high level are very demanding. Let's start with nutrition, and then I'll go other places. How do you think about like fueling your body, on that nutrition end of things? And I'm curious, like what you thought back in your high school days versus how you've matured to where you are right now.
I think I value breakfast more, and people always said that was the most important meal of the day, but especially the older I got and then knowing I wanted to start a family and I'm a big podcaster. I started listening to a lot of podcasts. It was like, women need more protein. Women need more protein than they're told. And so I try and get that in the morning. And I used to be someone, I think, that I thought I played better, jumped higher. And in college, especially, we would jump test every week. And it was like a big deal because we had a lot of high jumpers on our team. And I think my touch went from like 10-3 coming in to by the time 3 years later, I touched 10-11. And I think that's the peak. And I don't know that I could do that now, honestly. But like I would not eat before the jump test, and I would have my Alani energy drink because I was so convinced that like eating would weigh me down. I needed to have the shakes. Like it was a big deal for me. But the more I listen to, the more I'm convinced like that's so bad for me to perform. And I mean, it was just a jump test. It's not like a 5-set match, but I really do a good job about getting protein in at breakfast now. I don't have coffee on an empty stomach. I don't do caffeine on an empty stomach. I'm off the energy drinks before games, and that is due to baby. But I mean, you can have caffeine. They say you can have 200 milligrams. So I'm like, okay, clean coffee is definitely better for me than my poisoned Alani energy drink, I'm sure. So I'm just doing coffee now. But I think that breakfast and eating enough before games and not telling myself I have to feel light to play well. That's my biggest difference, I think.
Yeah. See, I love that because I think that's absolutely massive. Not just for the sense, I ate breakfast, but like there's only so many meals in the day, so much time in the day for you to get exactly what you just said. There's adequate protein. And if you're just playing Fortnite, and going to school, not a big deal. But if you're, hours on the volleyball court, lifting weights, stressing your life, going to school, I'm relating this more to high school right now and stuff, but like, man, you need a lot more to fuel yourself. And if you skip breakfast, you just lost a third of the opportunity that you have in which to fuel yourself. And it's so hard because kids will be up late at night. They'll sleep in as late as they possibly can. Alarm will go off, and they close on out the door. They might run by Starbucks for an overpriced something.
Sugar.
And, oh my gosh. And get 50 grams of sugar in them with no protein and no actual real like nutritional value of anything. Breakfast. I love it. So simple. So simple. What'd you have for breakfast today?
Today, 2 eggs, and I mix in cottage cheese. And I was gifted a loaf of sourdough from somebody, so I had that. And I woke up really early and we had practice late, so then I had an apple and chocolate chips and peanut butter sprinkled on it.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
And coffee.
At what point between, so you think this growth happened with you in the way of understanding better nutrition for yourself more during like the end of college to now?
I would say just professionally. I think in college, I feel like we were just on like this high of doing good. And I never considered anything. And you're fed so many meals in college. You don't have to think about it for yourself. I feel like it was just given to me. So I think professionally, once I started having to cook for myself and me and Duncan having to do more, just us, that's when things changed.
There we go. What, high school wise, do you think you were good back in the day, eating breakfast, stuff like that?
Yes, but like we cooked a lot. I think my parents cooked a lot for us. I don't recall eating out too much, but I was never thinking about like protein or anything. But we're not picky eaters, so I think we had a lot of veggies, and I'm really grateful for how I grew up, I think. But I do remember after practices like having McDonald's, and sometimes now I can get in my head about junk and things, and I don't know, even medicine, like when I've had to take medicine, I'm like, oh, is this what's best for me? But then I'm like, God is greater than what I'm putting in my body. Like I cannot worry about every little tiny thing. This is how bad I have been listening to a lot of podcasts about food in America. And the other day at church, we took communion and I was like, this grape juice is probably like 95% high fructose corn syrup. And then I was like, who am I to be thinking this about freaking communion? Like, take it and be grateful what God did for me. Like, it's this much, Anna. So
and this bread is not bread. You know the gluten content in this bread right here? Like, oh my gosh.
It was the grape juice that was concerning me. And I was like, this is controlling me. I gotta get a hold on this. So I've gotten better. But it comes and goes in waves. Care too much, care too little, care too much. So trying to find that happy medium.
And looking back during again, I'm trying to relate this to our current high school kids and stuff like that, and really in any sport, because we've had issues with, I think all of our kids, boys, girls, doesn't matter, under eating, underperforming, through that. Under eating, I feel bad because we train large numbers of athletes. Sometimes I feel like we overtrain them, but that's because they're not putting gas in their fuel, in their fuel tank in which to do. So some kids are fine and amazing, and other kids are dragging. And we're like, what is going on? They're like, well, I've had a bag of gummy bears today. Well, and a bubbler. Like there's not much I can do for you. Like I should give you a blanket and a pillow, and you should take a nap in the corner right now because that's all you're really capable of doing. But you're going to try to lift weights for an hour and then go play 2 hours of volleyball. Like, I don't know what to do. Looking back, any I don't want to say regrets, like in the way of like that nutrition thing, like, man, you know what? I should have been a little bit more blah, blah, blah when it comes to anything nutrition.
Thankfully, I was not interested at all in caffeine in high school. And I think a lot of kids now are on energy drinks. And I think that's a big problem. But I think maybe just better snacks. Coming home from school hungry. Now I try and make my snacks. And I think it's easy to just grab pre-made crackers, like stuff like that. But there's a lot you can make for yourself in advance that makes it easier to make better decisions. Just trying to set myself up for success the next day with healthy things on hand. I like beef sticks now. Yeah.
I mean, you're in the Midwest. You should like beef sticks.
Yes. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. What else do you make?
I mean, I know rice cakes aren't like sustainable. They're not going to sustain you for long, but before games in Italy, I really liked rice cakes, peanut butter, bananas on top. I like chocolate chips. Fruit is good. In the summers with the national team, our dietitian really brings the go-go squeezes for games. Just like quick, easy, digestible carbs.
Like the yogurt type thing?
Yeah. You can squeeze them during the games. I try and do more. consume more salt now. We've had some girls on the national team struggle with like cramping in long games, especially when we travel to hot countries. But I think that helps hydrate you too. And nature's Gatorade is salt and lemon and pomegranate juice. And I haven't done all that, but I do salt my water.
Do you just do normal like sea salt into the water, or do you like
Redmond sea salt? That's what I've been told from reels. So take it with a grain of salt, but it's supposedly really good salt.
pun intended? I like that.
Yeah.
Grain of salt. No, I think it's funny. We've had Element. Are you familiar with the
Yeah,
Element
I like that. It doesn't taste as sweet as liquid IV. So
correct. Well, and that's the pushback. So we've gotten lots of free samples from them because we've told them our situation. Hey, we trained 300 club volleyball kids and blah, 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 blah. And so they've sent us stuff, which is great. We've given it out to the kids. They're like, oh, it's really salty. I'm like, guys, what did you want it to taste like? What did you think you were going to
I
get?
definitely prefer Element to liquid IV, but I really like Propel. I haven't looked into Propel deep, but I really like grape. I'm drinking grape Olipop right now. I'm a big grape girl. So
There we go. Love me some Olipop. What, so kind of hit the nutrition stuff. And Stevie, I love how we just didn't spend a whole lot of time with that. Like in the way you didn't get deep into like the, proteins, carbs, and fats. We didn't get into like, you're like, hey, eat breakfast, like a normal human. And, and then what you just said for snacks, we made as a club last year, we made, little like protein balls. I can't remember what we did. I don't even remember what we mixed up, but we literally, you Google it, protein ball recipe, some peanut butter, some protein powder, and, obviously chocolate chips, because that makes everything better. Stir that thing up, mash them up, and ball, 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 ball. And if you have 6 matches in a weekend, well, hey, there you go. Take 20 of those suckers and, have one before, have one after, just something to keep. It's not like you're just sitting in the bleachers watching games. You're on the court, jumping, diving, killing yourself. So, in the way of everything else that's not nutrition, what do you focus on? I love how you said you're a homebody and, rest and relax.
Sleep. Sleep is my number one. And in high school, I had bedtimes and I wasn't on my phone in bed much, but I would read. But now, like me and my husband, we're in bed at like 8:30. I think I fall asleep by 9. I've been really tired recently. And like, I think throughout the first trimester, I was definitely more tired. I take naps almost every day, 20 minutes, an hour. It changes. And in the summers, Duncan's not with me because I take the free housing. And you have a roommate on the national team, and I've been with Morgan Hintz. She's like a famous libero. She played at Stanford. And honestly, we've been in bed at 7 before. We're just reading because you got nothing to do. You train 9 to 2, whatever, and then go to the pool. Then you got nothing else to do. So we read in bed. But I think sleep has been the biggest one for me. I just got Red Light. It's a small handheld one. I think that's been really helpful for my knees. I do that at night, but nothing fancy on mind, I don't think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I wish I had something cool, but that's it. I think I shoot for 10. I think I do my best with 10 hours, 9-10 hours.
Wow. There's so much good research out there that's like the difference between 8 hours of sleep and 6 hours of sleep, like on a daily basis. Like if you were to get 8 hours of sleep, I were to get 6 hours of sleep. We walk on the court at the same time. I am 1.7 times more likely to get injured than what you are getting it, and it's so hard. It's so hard. And I find our juniors really struggle with it because that's the year with all the AP classes and, stuff's really getting real. Freshman, sophomore, a little bit less. Seniors at this point are kind of checked out, they're they're ready to go, which is awesome. But those poor juniors, man, the idea of getting, and we've had kids before, which is hilarious. Because our elite girls will train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then they're back on Thursday. I'll hear stories about, Adam, I got home from school on Wednesday at 4:00 and I went to bed. I woke up to pee at 9:00 and then I slept all the way through the night. So like they just got 15 hours of sleep.
That's awesome.
Which is a little, awesome, but then scary too. Like they were that depleted where
yeah. Okay, that's not good.
But no, I love that they're doing it versus like, oh, they keep, running themselves ragged because, all the things there.
We had a sleep specialist come speak to the Team USA, I think 2 summers ago, because we travel, to like Thailand or South Korea. And so sleep gets hard. And one of the girls, she was like, what if you get 10 hours of sleep and you also take naps and you're still tired? And the lady was like, sleep more. She said, if you are tired, your body is telling you you need sleep. And she talked about you can have like a sleep bank. So tomorrow we leave at 4 a.m. So for Atlanta. So stock up on some good sleep tonight, do good things tonight to make sure that even though I'm not going to get enough tonight, we get a team meal. We have sushi at 5. So that'll take a couple hours, I'm sure. But even though I'm not going to get enough sleep, I can do things to help myself through that.
Take a nap this afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. That is my goal.
I love how, so this is my favorite thing about what you just said there. Sleep specialist talking to USA National, like highest level, high level, didn't give you, just take this melatonin supplement. Take these, pills, because I feel like we over caffeinate and then we medicate, and we over caffeinate and we medicate, and kids are like this all the time. You wonder why they can't focus in school and, can't focus in practice. They're all over the place. And when somebody asks, hey, if I'm still tired, what hack do I need to do? And the answer is you need to sleep more.
Yeah, I was hooked on melatonin for a while. We had this really nice spray, Clean Athlete, clean with a K. It's fantastic. You just spray it, 2 sprays. Oh my gosh, you'd be out. But I did get hooked, and my husband was like, you need to stop doing that. Like, do you need that? And I haven't taken melatonin in like 3 months. I do take magnesium at night. That's supposed to help you sleep. I don't know if it does, but it's nice to tell yourself it does. So.
Well, I think magnesium helps so many other things too. It's just in the, and sometimes it's hard to get through the diet and stuff like that. And no, so with you'll appreciate this. My 10-year-old also loves his melatonin gummies, and we got them at one point because sometimes he'd be out of bed and he's wired. My oldest sleeps a ton. He loves sleeping. Second one, a little bit more. Hey, what are you guys doing? Like, trying to go to bed, child, go to bed, And so like to give him a melatonin gummy, oh, Dad, I slept so much better. Like literally there's like 1 gram in one gummy. Like it's such a small amount. Not like he's having, 5 grams of, whatever. And, which seems to be more of a standard dosage, but like all of a sudden it turned into like every night, I need my gummy. Like, no, go away. You don't. So now we're down to 2 a week. You get 2 a week. You choose your days.
You give him the real gummies?
Right. We give him the real. Well, this is like a cheap, I don't know, Aldi thing. Yeah. This is not, So very, very, I don't feel terrible about that, but it's funny how
1 milligram. I wonder if it works or if he just convinces himself.
No, I'm convinced it doesn't work. No, I think it's all here in that child, and the youngest child, Stevie. They're all over the place. They just give me attention.
Yeah.
Poor kid. So hey, we didn't talk about yet. You've mentioned here, but hey, you're 3 months pregnant here.
Yes.
So you're the first professional athlete I've had on the podcast who is playing their sport while being pregnant. Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
It's been fun. We had a girl, Sarah Parsons. She was supposed to be on this team, but she had her baby maybe a month ago. But she found out in the summer with the national team. And so she, of course, wasn't traveling after that or anything, but she continued to practice with us. And she was doing so good. And I was like, I bet if I was pregnant and playing, I would play so well, because I know like this isn't the most important thing. Like the baby's the most important. So maybe it'd be a little freeing. And honestly, I don't think it's helped me that much. I think I still equally care about volleyball. And, but I do think after practices, I'm quicker to move on from good or bad because I get excited about this. But physically, nothing's really changed yet for me. I've just been more tired. I sleep better. And I think now I'm starting to get to the point where I do feel like when we do certain movements, like a single leg RDL, like on the left, I feel more like shift inside me, but that's not even the baby. I think the baby's like 2 inches. So maybe this long, but the doctor was like, no, like other things in there are growing too, like the placenta and like your uterus is like expanding rapidly. So I do feel a little more shifty inside. And that has been really cool to feel and to know stuff is going on that I'm not even in control of.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I mean, to balance a professional sport, you know, and do everything that you're supposed to be doing. I mean, that's how you make your living. That's how you get paid. You know, and now we're trying to raise a small, you know, human inside of you, which, not to go into the details of childbirth, but it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And, you know, it's insane. So that's thrilled for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited. And speaking of nutrition and stuff, they said I'm supposed to be getting like 90 to 100 plus grams of protein a day. And I don't know if I'm hitting that, but it is a goal.
Yeah. So is that pregnancy rules, or that just more athletic rules?
That is specific to pregnancy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar for athletes, because it's hard to get that much. I've been surprised. I don't know if I'm getting it, but I just listened to this podcast with like a pregnancy dietitian person, and I was like, even if it's not true, that's a good goal. So
yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff I've heard with, and again, I think people are different here too. I don't know how hard and fast. I think guys are different than girls. I think if you're weight training, you know, 4 days a week, super heavy, it's going to be different than if you're like doing just a 2-day a week thing. Like I think they're different, whatever. It can kind of be all over the place, but I've even heard like somewhere between 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight.
Yeah. And that's hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to your breakfast thing, like if you skip breakfast, there's no way you're getting to that number.
There's no recovering after that.
Yeah. Or even the 100 grams that you said earlier, like are you going to have 2 50-gram protein meals? Like that's a lot of chicken.
Good either. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Steve, I want to talk, and then I want to go whatever other direction you want to go to. You're very strong with your faith, beautifully vocal about your faith. Talk about that and how that has meant, how that has played a role within your everything sport.
Yeah. I used to think maybe I shouldn't care so much about volleyball because God is number one and volleyball doesn't matter. And my church is actually doing a series on Ecclesiastes right now, which if you've ever read it, it's like, nothing matters. Everything you gain will go to waste. It's dust. It's worthless. And I've never liked reading that because it's hard. And then he goes and he says, but it's good to enjoy your work and it's good to eat and drink. And so it's confusing, but the pastor's been really good at explaining it. And it's like everything is worthless without God. And I do think that I've been given a gift to play volleyball, and even if I wasn't really good at it, it's my job. And I think we are supposed to work. I mean, even in like the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were supposed to work and take care of animals, take care of garden. I mean, it's a garden. They had to take care of it. And so I think it's important to work and to do your best to be your best at what you're doing. And this is just where I am. And my husband, he's working like at a paint factory right now. That is not what he would like to do for the rest of his life, but he's doing his best at that. And like while we were overseas, we were praying for a job for him, and we would love for it to be with like a college athletic department or with baseball, but work is work, and everyone has to do it. And I think it's best to do it well. And I think Christians should strive to be the best at what they do.
That's awesome. And wow. And when you put it towards a sport, that's fantastic. I don't have a follow up to that, Stevie. That was great. I wish I had more. That was well done.
I've thought a lot about it because I used to worry I cared too much about volleyball, and then I realized I am supposed to. This is Obi.
There he is. What's his name?
Obi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi. Gotcha. Are we Star Wars fans?
Yes, Duncan is.
Okay. Gotcha. Nice. How old's the pup?
9 months.
Oh, a lot of puppies still. Yeah.
He's crazy. He's been really good. I've been surprised he's been so quiet here.
What Stevie, what did we miss? What do you wish I would have asked you?
I don't know that there's anything you've missed. Something I've thought about recently because I watched the Aaron Rodgers documentary. I don't know if you watched that.
Yes.
And he talked about success and failure and winning and losing and how people think that it's one or the other. And that's not the case. And I told Duncan that this summer I got cut from the Olympic roster, but was still asked to be an alternate. And like for me, I mean, that is failing. Like I ultimately did fail. Let me take away this squeaker toy. That was a bad decision. Like ultimately I did fail. Like I didn't make the Olympic roster, but that summer was like the most successful summer I've had because I was playing at like my highest level possible. And now when they announce before games, like in Anna Stevenson Hall, alternate for the Paris Olympics, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's really cool. It would have been cooler to make it, but I'm really grateful for that now. And so I think athletes like getting cut, not making the team you want, being on 15-2s instead of 15-1s, it is not the end of the world. And I think sometimes stuff like that is better for you than if you hadn't made it. So that's the only other thing I can think of. Aaron Rodgers made me think of that the other day.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's funny how, because I'll watch SportsCenter, I'll get so mad because you'll have these analysts who just, I don't know, they have this debate or that debate. And just, I'm like, this is stupid, guys. They're playing a game, who's the greatest quarterback of all time? And well, Tom Brady won all these. Tom Brady had a phenomenal team behind him. Tom Brady never played any defense. So like he had some, Tom Brady had Bill Belichick. Like there's so many pieces that came together in order for him to be, amazing, exceptional. Same with Patrick Mahomes, same with, whatever, that athlete, this athlete. It's just funny, especially in team sports, like, especially in volleyball, which I think is the ultimate team sport. Like, look at that fantastic middle. Well, if they can't set her, there's no point. Like,
yeah, it takes everyone.
Yeah. So in the way of that mature attitude that you just have, did that just spring up through Aaron Rodgers, or is that something that, you've been able to handle with, for a while?
Past summer, so not this one, but the one before, I got cut and I had I was playing horribly, entirely in my head. It was so bad and I wasn't having fun because playing bad is not fun. And I was really nervous leading into this summer because I didn't want it to happen again. And I talked to our team sports psychologist and I was like, do you have to believe you're the best in order to be the best? Because I don't really believe I am. I don't think I'm going to make the team. I don't think this or that. And she just kind of said, it's up to you to find out. And if at the end of the summer, if all you are is disappointed, is that really the worst thing ever? You can get through disappointment. There's a lot worse things to feel. And so I just told myself, like, the only thing I want to feel at the end of this summer is disappointed. And if that's all that I feel, I'm going to be okay. But I don't want to be mad at myself for not practicing extra that day or, I don't know, other things like that. And so I just tried to think of things simply. Like if all I get is you didn't make the team and I feel good about everything else, I'm okay.
If you were to give advice to 16-year-old Stevie, is that the advice you'd give?
Yes, that, and no one is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about yourself. I think that's the mistake a lot of athletes make. Even now I do that, but it's true.
Gotcha. You're much more wrapped up into what, you think everybody's thinking about you and what you're doing, and you're doing it, and and it's, yeah, they're more concerned about themselves.
For sure, everyone is, every single person.
Very cool. Stevie, what else? What else did we miss?
That is it. And sorry, Obi was going crazy there at the end.
We have 2 labs, so I totally understand.
Labs are crazy too.
Oh my gosh! If there's a squirrel 7 yards away, we know it. We're very aware.
Warning you.
And then we have to bark like we're crazy and insane. And yes, totally get it. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was really fun. And yeah, I'm excited. I'll check out some more episodes you've done.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh geez. You're going to jump our listener count up to like 11 or 12 now.
I'd love to help out.
That'll be fantastic. People want to follow you in what you're doing, the season, the family, the baby. Where do they go?
I only use Instagram, and my Instagram name is Stevie with a couple E's, but my name's Anna Stevenson Hall. And then my team is League One Madison, so LOVB Madison.
There we go. We'll link all that up in the show notes and whatnot. And yeah, Stevie, good luck the rest of the season here. And yeah,
thank you so much.
joyous summer being pregnant.
We'll see how everyone says it gets really hot. So,
So come summer, are we staying in Madison?
South
Is that
Carolina? That's where
you're
we'll
going back.
be.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, one of those nice, cool South Carolina summers. Gotcha.
Humid, nice and humid.
There we go. Awesome. Stevie, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll check you on the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Don't forget to check us out on the social at Oak Performance and online at www.oakstrength.com/Oak Performance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.